Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Bravo. We're black and a little white today. As usual, we got our resident white boy of the year, Ryan Bailey, here. He's a dad. I think the last time I had you on, it was pre-baby, and now it's
Yeah.
post-baby, and you just celebrated your first Father's Day.
Yeah.
You recently reached the top 10 of podcasts point blank, which was hella dope to see because it's a lot. You also were on the blue carpet, was it, for the Las Culturistas? Was
Oh
it blue?
yeah. The
Like,
Las Culturistas
you
Awards.
have been freaking killing it. So how are you? Are you tired? Are you good? Do you need a break, or are you on like
No,
a
I mean,
high where you got to keep
I'm
going?
no, we talked about this. I think yesterday I mean, I'm on a high in terms of my personal life. The professional life, it's great, but it's like we do this every day, and I think we're coming off the summer house
Mhm.
shenanigans. So I think there's like a natural deflation, and I know you are like completely loving Love Island USA, and for some reason it's not grabbing me, and that's
Yeah.
like kind of, I swear to God, it's almost starting to make me crazy because I feel like, oh my God, I'm feeling my age, and that's like sending me into a tailspin of depression where I watched a couple videos last night of people like speaking so passionately about Love Island USA, where I was like, oh my God, I want to feel what you feel, and I just can't feel it. And it's alarming to me as somebody that watches TV now for a living. I want to feel these things, and all you have to go by is your internal temperature. And so I'm frustrated with myself. Like I always leave room that I can be wrong. I'm wrong multiple times. So I'm trying to understand exactly like why I'm not feeling the emotions that a lot of people are feeling, because I felt it for Summer House, and maybe I just shot my load with Summer House where I'm like all my feelings are deadened now after that got released. I don't know. I mean, I woke up today in a deep depression that like I had to like break myself out of. And I think part of that is, I guess we call ourselves creators, is like, what are we doing? We're just like fumbling around in the dark every day, hoping that you are able to make yourself happy and that somebody can feel a little less alone based on what we're talking about. But
Mhm.
sometimes, man, this is not like woe is me or woe is us, but sometimes it's really hard.
No, it really is, because it's also like, what am I doing that actually matters? Like,
Yeah.
I'm having fun, and I always say that even if I can make one person's day for, a week, I've done my job, and I'm like, well, does that really matter? But then I think about when I listen to other people's podcasts or when I watch TV shows, and I'm like, this actually took me out of what I was going through. So
Yeah.
if I could make someone feel half as much as what people make me feel, we're doing our jobs. And like I
No.
said, you
Yeah.
just literally you have been doing so much professional wise. Um and then personally, like, you have a new baby. So I mean, there's like a lot of
Oh
emotions
my
there
God. But
also.
it's like if I see my baby smile, that provides me of like 2 days worth of happiness. So it's like
Yeah.
this really interesting balancing act on top of like the baby is obviously the most work of everything, but it's also the most gratifying right now. But like to your point, it was so funny. Last night I was editing a video and I was working, and I saw that on Netflix there was like this really kind of subpar Ben Stiller movie from 2004 called Along Came Polly with Jennifer Aniston. And
I heard of that one.
I got an email saying it was leaving Netflix soon. So I was like, why don't I put this on the
Gotta watch
background?
it.
Well, it's so silly and dumb, but at the same time, there's a supporting performance from Philip Seymour Hoffman, who passed away, God, a long time ago now, and he was one of my favorite actors. And it's such a silly movie, and he commits so hard to his small part that it just makes me laugh because he's such a good actor. But I think that was even kind of throwing me into this thing of we talk about other people and their work. And I think sometimes that's starting to eat at me in little ways of like, well, when are it's like, and for you as well, like, man, when are we going to make some TV? When are we going to put out stories that we believe in? And I'm not, God, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm not shading anything that
No,
we
don't
do,
apologize on this
but
podcast. Like, this is a place to actually, like, get it out. Like, I'm very much I used to be an oversharer, but now I just haven't had time to overshare because of Summer House. But don't worry, it's coming back. Now that I don't have as much stuff to talk about, you're gonna be
now that your foot is off Amanda Batula's neck.
right. after 40 days and 40 nights. It's just like, go ahead, say what you were saying.
No, I was just saying there's like starting to be an itch of like making something myself,
Mhm.
of like even if it's like a grand failure of like, I was like I love commenting on other people's work, but at the same time, I think also what would make great criticism is understanding the process of how these things are made. I don't
Yeah.
even necessarily mean a reality show, but I think, anytime I get to talk to one of the creators of these shows, you get a different perspective. Like today we woke up
You
with the
just
news that
talked to,
what's
one of the producers of Rhode Island, which
yeah.
it was amazing because he said that basically when they were in it, he didn't know how good it was, and, like, that's amazing, and then also you just talked to Mia, and that's so dope. I
Well,
mean,
but Kai, that's and this is great for anybody listening to wonder about like what we do and what creators. So Walgreens reached out, and I've done this now a couple of times with advertising agencies where they'll be like, "We have a brand partnership with like Phaedra Parks or da 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 da, and you can get 15 minutes, but you got to talk a lot about Walgreens." And my thing always is, I don't get a dollar from that, so I already realize it's going to read as an advertisement as it should. But my hope is I get to ask a couple of questions. Now, there was restrictions on that interview. I couldn't ask directly about Wes. I couldn't ask directly about, like, there's restrictions on it. So then the goal is like, okay, can I still have a somewhat nice conversation with somebody that I just want to talk to? Like, it's for my experience as well. It's like, I want to see what that's like talking to somebody that's all of a sudden getting a bunch of partnerships based off of this insanity that just happened. But that's the other thing that sometimes I also know going into that, it frustrates the audience. I can explain beforehand that this is a partnership, but they still sometimes feel cheated. Or, no matter if I assure like no money is exchanged hands, I'm always 9 times out of 10 going to take that opportunity because I'm a fan at the end of the day. I want to talk to Mia, and the hopes is that you can build up some sort of rapport where you do get to interview Mia without restrictions at some point, right?
yeah, I mean, a lot of I've never even gotten, like, a brand partnership interview. I think that that would be hella dope, and I think that that's good because you can not only are you helping this amazing person who we know and we love and we fell in love with, and she was just so, um amazing and emotion like, she wore her heart on her sleeve during the season where I was very much I don't know if I said it on your podcast or I think I said it with Leah. I'm like, "Oh my god, I hate that we have to literally talk about this Amanda West Sierra stuff
I
because
know.
Mia has a solid storyline from obviously dealing with grief, dealing with a relationship, being new to the house, being a Black woman, her career, where she's going next. It's like you got to support someone who is getting, the brand deals and all these great things that they deserve. Although they played a background character, they are no longer a background character because people want to know more about Mia. And yeah, it was for Walgreens, but you snuck a few questions in
Yeah.
there
Well,
and you were able
but
to
to your
see it. So that's
point,
dope.
this is to your point though, is that I think the older I get, the more I do want to just sit around and talk about our moms. Sit
Yeah.
around and like, but I did get to talk to her about that scene with the psychic and her mom. And, what was so interesting is that she said, I thought I was gonna be hated for that. I thought people were not gonna be there for that. This is a show about partying your balls off on the weekends, and for me, as I get older, that those like literally, yeah, sometimes you're not in the mood for that. These are supposed to be escapism shows, but I was so there for that, and I think it speaks to people that, who have lost somebody, and as you get older, you will lose somebody in your life. That to me was so extremely comforting, and, not every person on these shows can pull that off, but Mia, she seems like such a good-natured person that was so moving to me. And to me, that is worth so much more in gold than West and Amanda but West and Amanda, they matter so much in the immediate, like right now. But the
Yeah.
stories that Mia is telling, those are going to stick with you, I think, and resonate, especially as you get older for a long time to come. And so, it's like you're investing in these people. That's what a reality, you're investing in a character and you're putting your money and your hope and like whatever you feel into these people. And you're like, don't let me down. And that's the same thing with West. Like I really believed in West and I'm like, okay. And then when these people let you down, it just shows you how deeply parasocial we are because you feel actual residual pain and you shouldn't be. That's ridiculous, but the feeling is still there. And that's usually when you know that a reality show has done its job, is when you feel activated in some sense.
Yeah, whether it's positive or negative, like, if
Yes.
something
Yes.
where you don't have, like, apathy towards it, which it's not evoking any emotion to you right now with Love Island, it's like the opposite of that, like,
Well,
you
yeah,
have
but
all
you know
the
what? Because
emotions.
they've only known each other for 3 weeks at this point. You know, like, so I was listening to this brilliant woman talking about, how diabolical it was for the producers to show the men in Casa and them getting, like, writhed on by the ladies, and you got to see in real time these women, become brokenhearted. And yes, to a degree, but you know what real brokenhearted is in a relationship for years and years. There's something so much, and I think maybe that just comes with age when you realize those things. It's like it's hard for me to be fully engaged on people that have known each other for 3 weeks. Like, it's like yes, but I mean, to this woman's point is that it is an example. It's a microcosm of what actually women go through, of watching us men let you down on a consistent basis. Now they're seeing this first part of it. They're not seeing now 2 days later where the men are like, I miss her. I miss Trinity so much. Like they don't get to see that. Like men will always act in the moment, and 9 times out of 10, we're going to make the wrong choices. But a lot of people never understand that there are residual emotions that once you come out of your dick haze, you will start to it'll start to feel, and I think women are so present in their emotions and their body in that moment because they're just they're just, I mean, just let's face it, they're smarter, and they know emotional weight immediately, and I think men catch up to emotional weight.
So, on Love Island, basically, but this has been every single year, like, it hasn't really changed the formula, so that's why I'm surprised as to I think maybe are you outgrowing it or is it the summer house of it all? And I think it could be the summer house of it all because you have seen this every year, and even on
Yeah.
Summer House, it's like, how long have these people known each other? Like,
Yeah.
when they introduce someone new. So, I mean, it's also like there's really good seasons, and then there's really, okay seasons, and there's seasons where you see more producer involvement, and like that's either I don't know if it's positive or negative, but I'm all in on
I
Love
love the
Island.
last 2 seasons of Love Island. I mean, I really because I thought they weren't there for the right reasons last season, and I loved it still. I remember Ace going around, like, they were
Yep,
they were very aware, and,
it could
I
be the
think
cast.
I think that was so obvious that they were aware last season, but I thought it was still so enjoyable. And I think, to me, I think it comes down to casting. You're even like Ladies of London not coming back. I know there's a reason that they're not sharing it with us. Maybe it was low ratings, maybe it was Q score, maybe it was all of these
That's
things.
so crazy.
But at the end of the day, it's like, well, I fell in love with these people. Like, that's what I always preach on the show, is that it's got to start with casting. It's got to start with casting. If you loved, like this season of Atlanta, for some reason it works. Like, you got the right people there. So
Yep.
all you have to do is build a foundation, but you have to cast the right people. And if you cast the right people, man, just get ready. Get ready, because eventually it is going to pay off in it, like Summer House. It's going to pay off in dividends when they make a stupid move, and us as humans will always make stupid moves, and then you just have to point and shoot. You're not going to even have to do that much work if you've built the right foundation. And I just don't feel like Love Island USA every season is a gamble. Like, they can
Yeah.
build a house, they can think they can build a foundation, but if those elements don't interact, I mean, that must be so exciting from a production angle. Like, for them making it, they've got to be in the most stressful, thrilling summer of their life. But we will never hear their story because we're watching these goofballs.
And the crazy part about Love Island is also, like, we're getting the turnaround time, like, in,
Yes.
what,
Isn't that, I mean, that's
24
some,
hours.
oh, I geek out. That's the stuff I geek out about now. Like, from a production
So,
standpoint, hats
I
off.
think what you are trying to reflect on, like, as a creator is, yes, I do interviews and I love what I do and I wanna continue to, do what I do, but is my brand literally just getting to know other people? And I feel like if it is, that's
Oh,
also
I'm
okay.
Oh god, my god, everything I'm doing is, like, it's more than okay. Like, I never thought any of this. I never thought I would make nor did I go into this trying to make a dollar or thinking about making a dollar, so
But now that
I'm
you
all
have, it's
good.
okay for you to be like, "Okay, now, like, I'm doing interviews, I'm getting dream guests, I'm doing this amazing thing. What's next?" I think we're always thinking about what can we do that's different, or what is it that's my brand? What is it so bad it's
I
good
well,
with
kind of
Ryan
to be
Bailey?
honest, to be honest with you, and maybe this is a fault that I should look into, is that I don't really think about my brand. I think about like usually like, oh, that sounds cool, or I'd love to talk to that person, or oh, I get to read this book to interview this guest. Like that was the dream as a kid. Like if I could get paid like watching TV and reading books. And so in some weird way, that kind of has manifested to doing, not purposely, but it's like that's what I
So
do now.
you're literally living your dream, and also,
Yeah.
like, you have an in-person studio that you can go to. Like, you
Yeah.
pretty much have a show. Like, you are, to someone in a weird way, that same person that maybe obviously not a kid, who knows? Maybe there is just like some 7-year-old that's like, I really dig So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. I want to be like him one day. But
Well,
like to
that
someone who's younger, like even me, just as a creator, I, in a not a weird way, I do look up to you because it's like I remember when we all started like together, and like where you went and where you are now, it's just like so dope. So it's natural to wake up in a funk sometimes and be like,
But I look
what am
up
I
to
doing? And
you. I
does
mean,
it
like I there
actually
I look
matter?
there are so many things to you where I'm like, you have the hustle, you have the humor, you have the empathy, you have the heart, you have all of these things. It's like you push when I usually I'll kind of get in my head and kind of take a step back. Or to me, I love putting out the show, but I don't love looking at myself. Like there are things I'm like, if you see me posting a video on my Instagram, you'll know that that was like a deeply painful thing. Like I was like, oh, this is deeply painful. I hate it. That's the part I hate. The having to shout yourself out and promote yourself. That is for me, the cringiest part of this job but at the same time, it's the most essential.
It's the most
Be,
essential because if you
yes.
gotta keep posting your clips, dude, and that's a
Oh,
thing, that's a conversation that I already had with you, but you've
yeah.
gotten better with it. Like,
Yeah,
you
well,
haven't
Medita's gotten better. I mean, we're
just
pushing
he
forward, but it is interesting of how often I was like, you know what? Nah, don't make a clip for that. No, it's fine because I thought I think you're like, well, if I just do the show, that's enough. And that's the thing is that it's not
it's not
enough
enough.
because in this day and age, nobody is going to magically find you. Nobody's going to magically find you. And if you go online, which we all do often, you're just inundated with so many things. Like you see yourself again and again and again and again and again, and you
Yep,
almost get sick of yourself before you even put your foot in the game. And
yep,
my thing is, as being a straight white dude, I've said this many times on the show. I've seen my story, not my personal story of being like a reality star
yeah.
lover, but my story. I grew up seeing so many examples of where to me, about 15, 20 years ago, I was like, I'm good on straight white men stories. I know, I get it. Like
I'm so glad.
and I don't feel like, but what's interesting, and I think that's where an entrance point into reality TV is excellent because you get to see so many other people's stories. Like, oh, I want to, because not only do you see how different they are, but also you see all of the commonalities, how alike we are. And I think, in this day and age when we are so like pulled apart by politics and life and reality, not TV, but our actual realities,
Yeah,
I think there is something so comforting about like we all do share like a basic language. And I don't mean English, but I just mean in humanity. And so that to
okay.
me is like I don't need to see like what it's like to be a white creator. Like I don't give a shit. So I like, and that's the thing, like I don't want to be an influencer. I just want to do my little thing and be able to like ask the questions I want to ask and make the silly jokes. And I think you're a lot the same way. Like we got into this to
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah, we're doing this shit for the love of the game, truly, because we'll like put out whole episodes with like important guests, or even just like really good episodes where we talk about things that we're passionate about and we know that other people are passionate about it, but we don't like, promote as much or put as many clips. I'm getting better about that. Because I'm always like, oh my God, I hate the sound of my voice. A
Yeah.
lot of people hate the sound of my voice. And I'm like,
Really?
we're all in agreement on that. But I'm just like, if I don't, and that's why it was so taxing to me when I'm like, fuck, I might have to rebuild my Instagram. Alert, you guys, I have not been able to tell you guys this, but my Instagram is back. We are so back, baby. Not only are we back, but I have sent many apologies, but I have about 300 more
Did you
to
send
go
it to
to.
Viola Davis yet?
Yeah, she hasn't responded, because she didn't read them,
What if
but I
she was like,
still
what if she was
apologized.
like, girl, you have put me through a week. Like
She's like,
we
I
invested
lost
heavily in Bitcoin
Bitcoin
in the last week.
and
I've
I
lost my entire
also
fortune.
lost my Facebook profile voting for your fake fashion profile
I
thing.
I need to go back to Shondaland to do a new
Yeah,
series just to make money. Yeah.
exactly. Just for you. And then she just like put unread because you can do that. I'm like, she's reading them. But guys, we're so back. I'm so sorry that that happened. I
Yeah,
don't
Kaya,
want it to
and you
happen
explained it probably
again.
on your show, but you explained it on my show yesterday. Is that why that I mean that is so important? Is like some people might be like, oh, whatever, whatever, but it's like that is your way of communicating to the outside world. That is your way of
Yeah,
making people aware of what you do and who you are. And if you lose trust
exactly.
in these people that you've gained trust from, that's a big thing in doing what we do because you realize that even if you're not intending to make a mistake,
Right.
you feel very you feel like everything is very, very important when you do this job and that you're like,
It
"Oh,
literally
man."
is because
Yeah.
people think it's for vanity reasons. Like, oh, you lost Instagram. Like, who cares? It's just Instagram. And it's like, I'm not at the point where it's like Instagram is paying my bills every day, but it is. Like when I do get brand deals, it is with Instagram and it is with Threads, so I don't wanna lose that connection, but also it's just harder to get in the room as a Black creator and make these same connections because I'm seeing people who start way after me get way ahead
Yeah.
of me, and I'm just like, "Okay, that's okay," because 'cause I'm used to working twice as hard for half as much, but then when you go and then you message people, and these people are like, "I would love to support you. All I gotta do is just, like, click a link to vote," and I'm like, "Oh my god, you
All
are,
I
like,
gotta do is buy
messing."
Bitcoin to support you? That's easy. Yeah.
Like, I think the Bitcoin was, like, one thing, like, cause I wouldn't do that. I would just straight up ask you for money. Patreon.com/Bravo while black. Buy me a coffee/Bravo while black. Thank you guys for that. Also, if you want my face and me and Aaron's face on your chest, like it's on mine, Bravo while black.dashtree.com. We got new shirts up for the podcast, baby. We
How
are
close are
so
we to an
back.
OnlyFans? Are we close, you and Aaron?
We're not close. If I don't take off in a year, I'm either getting married or I'm just gonna do OnlyFans, but you will never see me like
Those
this
usually
again.
are the 2 options. It's either get married or OnlyFans. Those are
Yeah.
the big options, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, we always get on here and, like, have existential crisis.
I know.
We need
Sorry, guys, and by the way, I realize how fucking probably horrible that sounds to the audience because
No, it does
they're,
not because my audience wants to know what it's like. They message me and say, "Oh, I didn't know it was like that. I didn't realize that." And also they don't realize like how something simple as literally just liking a picture, reposting, or sharing something helps an influencer like me or you be seen and grow and all that good stuff. And
I
also
think
it's
there's a fallacy where people think, "Oh, you've made it. You're good. You
right,
don't need
you're
support."
good.
And that really is like every day. It's like starts brand new. And as you get into different rooms or bigger rooms, it becomes more important because then you're dealing with, you have to not go up against, but you're getting similar guests of like Nick Vile or Heather McDonald or these people, and it's like I do not have that. I mean,
I
like
don't have that power.
I am not anywhere near there. So like I am still to me like an independent band, like
We are. And
yeah.
you know what's so funny? Someone was like, "Oh, I can't wait to work for you one day." And I'm like, "Babe, I can't wait to work for myself one day." Like what like that it's not paying the bills totally, but we're on our way. And I'm
No, I was
just
talking
like
to Tom
so
Hamlet, our buddy Tom
appreciative.
Hamlet.
Love Tom Hamlet.
I was doing Summer House recaps and he texted me the other day and it was so great doing those Summer House recaps with him and he just said, he's starting to be able to make money from this. And there was nothing that made me happier that day because I
Hell
think it's
yeah.
deserved. I know he puts in hard work and
All the time.
that's when it's great is when you see somebody you believe in start to like break through because the talent is always there. The
Yeah.
talent's always been there. It's like you just have to have the right opportunity to get more people to be aware of you. And
Yep.
that's the thing that, it's just like time and place sometimes.
Yeah. So speaking of white men, tell me about this whole I have not seen it because I haven't been online today like that. I've been on my
Oh yeah.
personal. So apparently Wes has came out of the sewer and
Yeah.
he's
Oh yeah.
doing the whiteboards with his white
So
boys.
Yeah, Soho Brody, they do those whiteboard things
Yes.
where they go through reality TV, dramas and stuff like that. And Wes has participated in those before, but
Yeah.
it's a fairly popular, I don't know what you call it, like sketch or not sketch, but like it's a fairly
Online
popular,
series,
yeah, online
but I wanna
series.
say Abby Bonadivas, I think that's how you say
Bonaditas,
it.
yeah.
Yes, Abby, she was the first one that I saw, like, really do that within the Bravo space, but I have seen them over the years, Soho Brody and Queens of Bravo would share it sometimes. So, what's going on with that?
So they released a two-part summer house breakdown of this drama, and Wes Wilson participates in it. Now, listen, a lot of people are going to be turned off immediately, and I didn't walk away from those two things that I watched going, "Oh man, he's all's forgiven," anything like that. But I will say he's definitely answered more than he did at the reunion at all. And a couple of things that they actually got out of him was that he was on Xanax. It wasn't just beta blockers, so I thought justice for beta blockers, and the second part of it, they catch him up in the Xanax thing, which is great, and then they do talk, momentarily about the video that got edited out of the Summer House reunion saying
What
that
did
it
they
was a
say?
it was a neighbor across the street that, videoed them allegedly in a compromising position. They haven't seen it, but that's what made them rush to actually put that statement out because they were caught in a compromising position. And Wes is like, well, you live in New York. You just, you're supposed to assume your name, we all are on top of each other. You're not supposed to, and it's like, yeah, no shit. We're not supposed to. By the way, that is illegal what that person, whoever did that, but that actually, who knows if that videotape exists, but he knows that they were doing something where it would make sense that something like that could have been videotaped. But there's a lot of information in there. And he kind of at the end he says, "I get it about not returning to Summer House. I'm good with taking a TO, which is sports lingo for timeout." So
Time
I
out?
I
That
think he thinks he will be coming back to Bravo at some point. I mean, it didn't seem like the doors were shut in his head, but it was the very Sandoval of it all of like, I can't believe this blew up to this degree. Also, I mean, there was just so many little pieces. Like, listen, this is what happens whether you like him or hate him. And I think a lot of people hate him, which is totally understandable, is that it's good when you actually have a relationship like these guys already did with West. They're able to get more out of him, and they call him like a piece of shit like throughout the two episodes. Now, those are his boys, obviously, and it ends in a very friendly way. But they call him out on a lot of stuff. They do hold his feet to the fire, but at the same time, it still obviously is a loving, safe environment. But they're able, like, if me or you interviewed him, you're not going to get anything out of him. You're not going to
no.
get anything out of him. So you need those two people. I will say it is frustrating once again to have him do it on platforms that are not Bravo. He's doing his friends a solid here because those videos are going to be huge. But also he's still sticking with, he says with the Brianna chicken fries saying to Dave Portnoy that he told Brianna that they were hooking up at the Super Bowl. He said, no, I was probably drunk. And I think I said something like, oh yeah, like I think Amanda's hot. I think he's still lying about that part of it, but he's saying
Yeah.
like, I see maybe she was confused, but I didn't say that we were like hooking up. I think I was saying she was hot and I wanted to make out with her. So I
So
think there's a
that's
lot
the
of
same.
lies still within this, but but there was a lot of like, that's fair, and I get why you would think that, and that's fair, and but it was interesting. I will say it is very funny no matter what you see. It's like Sierra is always, in terms of the conversation surrounding she always kind of ultimately always
Runs
takes a
laps.
backseat. No, but she takes a backseat in terms of it always seems like they don't directly confront the Sierra of it all. Like they'll talk about
Because
everything that's happened
because
beyond this.
they don't think that, and that is why so many Black women especially rallied around her, is because they don't see why this is so important and why this is such a big deal. Obviously it's a big deal for anyone, white or Black. You are fucking your ex's best friend, and your ex's best friend is literally fucking you. That would hurt anyone. But especially after you already embarrassed her as a white man on TV one time, moped around, made her the big bad wolf, and then again made her feel safe with you, saying the words that I see you, and turned around and did this. They
I
don't
know.
see that this is a bigger, and it's
And
not
especially
necessarily
after
that
the
they don't.
conversation that they re-had this
Yeah.
season at that dinner table, that's the part where it comes up once again that he didn't even watch the reunions because they're like, "Was this the first time that you saw like you knew those dick pics existed beforehand?" And he was like, he's like, "You even asked him, was it flaccid?" And Wes was like, "That was in the reunion?" And they're like, "Yeah, you didn't fucking watch the reunion?" But he was like, he says he always takes body shots. And so
Why?
he says, and by the way, maybe you could interview Wes because you have something in common. He says his Facebook and Instagram got hacked.
I believe it was Amanda and Wes behind my hacking, but that's another
That's
conspiracy theory that we'll
another
get into another day because I don't want it to get hacked again because I think they were pissed when I made the video the first time, but we'll get into that another day. All right. Well, it's just him not taking
Well, Kyle, will you
accountability.
watch this?
I'm gonna watch it, but I think that as far as covering it, this is the extent that it goes to. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to give
Yeah, I
him
don't want to. I don't want to break
and
it
his
down line for
friends.
line like I would have during the season or during.
Right.
It's like now
It's not on Bravo.
Yeah, I mean, like I do find my biggest geek or kink is information. I think we all love information, right? Like I want to, but at
Yeah.
the same time, if you can't trust the source, no matter what information you get, once that believability or that trust is kind of broken with the audience, it really is hard to accept a narrative that you've had more time to think out.
Well, the worst thing that I feel like I can do is give him exactly what he wants, which is fame. And that's why he's continuing to do, his podcast and then doing other videos. So I think that that's also another thing. Why is that I feel like I want to put, and then even if Amanda does like call her daddy or Nick Vile, unless she says something outrageous, like, I will maybe, like, talk about it, but I'm not going to dedicate space and hold space for that if it's not on Bravo. Now, the In the City reunion, that's when I'll get into it, but when it's not on Bravo, I don't want you guys to be able to get famous when you're not on the show that literally built you, and Amanda especially. Like, I just don't want them to be famous. I don't care when they go to weddings. I don't care that they're spitting each other's mouths. I don't care about anything that has to do with with anything that's not on the show, and I wanna put this away. I want this to
But
go away. I want Sierra to continue, and I'm, like, also at a certain point, I'm like, I'm so tired of talking about the 2 most basic white people I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Like,
But
I
there's
live in
different levels.
Miami.
But you talk about fame, and I think it's important to recognize that there are different levels of fame. A Bravo celebrity's fame is very different than
Yeah,
outward fame. And what's so great and so interesting is at the end of the day, Ariana and Sierra have been able to break out of just Bravo celebrity fame. I would argue Paige has as well. Is that they are in different. We were just talking about being in different rooms as podcasters, and like
right.
working your way up the ladder.
Paige and Hannah
They
were just on Not Suitable for Work.
Yeah, the Mindy Kaling show. They were not they're now in different rooms, and they're
Right.
probably dealing with a bunch of worries and insecurities that they never faced before that we will never see, but it is a different conversation around these people now. Sierra's gonna be on one of the biggest competition series of all time on Dancing with the Stars this season. She's getting offers. So she's probably getting obviously flooded with offers because you can't turn on the TV without seeing a Sierra Miller commercial, which is like good for you. But it's going to be hard because then you're like in a whole different echelon where you're now worried about your next choice because Bravo's always there. They're going to want to keep you in the stable, in the family. But now it's like, how do I make this last? And so, hats off always to Ariana Madix being able to continue this on for 3 seasons of Love Island USA and book St. Dennis Medical, that show on
Yep.
NBC, and Will Trent. So it's going to be really exciting for me is when it starts to break over into other pop culture that we deeply love just as much as
Well, we
Bravo.
are I would argue that, especially now, like we just saw, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives hasn't even been around, what, 3 years?
But
And
they
not only
started
are
as
they
like huge.
on.
They started as huge influencers though, in terms of like the amount of followers that they had on TikTok before that show even started. I mean, Taylor Frankie Paul. It was. I mean, she had a bigger following than any of the cast of Summer House, I believe, at that point.
Yeah, she absolutely started off like, they started off with, like, a lot, and it's a completely different kind of reality show that they did, which worked for them, but for them to be able to be on Broadway and to then be the Bachelorette and to be so famous that even if you WWE the father of your child, you still get to have a Bachelorette season, that is insane for a quote unquote reality star or influencer. So is it
Well, you
good
saw that news today that it's
that it's
most likely
airing?
coming back this summer, right? The
Right,
Bachelorette?
that's what I'm saying, like, they're this big that it doesn't even matter what they do, they can still,
But can I
have
tell you what though, and I know this is not gonna be the popular, it's like it just shows you once again that really money makes the world go round,
yeah,
that I don't believe that I don't believe they should have chosen her as the Bachelorette in the first place.
right,
I think she's still having to learn a lot and doing it in the public eye. We've obviously seen where it's intensified most situations in her life. I think she is somebody that I truly and I don't mean this as like I dislike her. I worry for her because I
yeah,
think she already was dealing with some instability, and I'm trying to be as kind as possible. And I think this kind of magnifying glass, I think you're really asking for trouble, and you already saw it once. And I know they put a big investment, but that's on ABC, man. That's like you got to cut, like you should have known in the beginning that you were going to deal with this. And now you're going to put on this show where we're supposed to believe in love, where we already know we already knew the outcome of The Bachelorette at the end. And we already knew she slept with what's his nuts like directly after coming home from The Bachelorette. So
right,
I'm going to watch a whole season. It's like Love Island USA. We're asked to believe in the concept of love when we've all been through so many relationships, most of us at this point, had our hearts broken, maybe broken some hearts out there. And then you're like, I'm supposed to like log in and like go like, oh, I hope she chooses this guy. We already know which guy she chose. And we already know that she broke that dude's heart allegedly and went back to Dylan or Dakota. Like,
yeah.
so for me, you're like, you're just showing that we've just got to make money. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
We got to
no,
make
they're
money. So we're going to
definitely
air it.
enabling
And it's
her,
going to be a
and
hit. It'll be a
it's
hit.
also yeah, and it's also crazy because during this entire time, she has not reflected at all. Like,
No,
usually
she gets
the
angry.
average
She gets angry at
person
the audience. She gets angry at
Mhm,
her cast members. She gets angry for anybody that likes. And by the way, if you're a normal person and if you're her friend, or when I will say the people that in my life that I trust the most are the people that have been honest with me. That have been like, "Hey, man, that was not, what
you're
happened here?
tripping.
That was not a good luck." Like those are the people you can really trust. The people that just blindly kiss your ass, like that's a dime a dozen, man. And the fact that she lashes out against people that should have questions about her and her mental health, to me, is like still shows that she might not be in a place where it's good to keep fully platforming at the highest level on network television and streaming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and we're seeing it, and then, unfortunately, hopefully, nothing happens to where it's like I just want her and her kids to be okay, but I just don't think the spotlight, especially The Bachelorette, would be for her. Like, I would in my ideal world, she would take a break from TV in general, and then maybe, if she actually reflected, return to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, because I just don't even see the value of just watching this season just to fucking watch this season.
I know.
I
Well,
don't
but see, then it
understand.
becomes a thing where like, well, we got to watch it. It's like
Yeah,
whenever a
because 'cause I'm
thing,
gonna
you
watch
know,
it.
it becomes one of those things that you almost feel like indentured to watch. You're like, oh, I have to watch this. And
Yeah,
you already know that there's something, like you're going to have like kind of a weird, bad feeling about it because you're never going to purely be able to have escapism viewing because you're
ex
already going to know the end. You already know that the Titanic sinks. And I think that is something that is really interesting in this day and age when we've made famous so many influencers that like the turnaround time on these shows. That's why Love Island is kind of genius how quick they turn this around. We know so much about these influencers and what their life is present day that
yeah.
now to go back in time a year where it's like it makes it harder for reality television. That's why, with Love Island, it's such a success because that turnaround time is so quick. We said that, like Bravo, it's like 7 months have passed before these seasons make its air. You've
Exactly.
noticed their turnaround time is a lot quicker than it used to be. Like Orange County came back so much quicker. Below Deck Med came back so much quicker than last season. And I have a prediction, not prediction. I think that's really what's happening is that you're going to see these shows like be pushed to like, no, you got to bring it back faster because you're competing with us being so fascinated in these people that we keep studying them after the show wraps. Like we go on Reddit,
Exactly.
we find their tax records, their home ownership, all of this shit.
Exactly, and I don't know if it's gonna be good or bad for it, but regardless, guess what? Me and Ryan will be here to talk about it,
Yeah,
and
that's the thing, but I what I hate though is that I feel like, and this is another thing I go to war with myself over, is that, as I age, like, I don't wanna yuck anybody's yum. I don't wanna be a fuddy-duddy, a stick in the mud, because I do appreciate, like, find joy wherever you can find joy. I think this is just what I personally am feeling, is that, that internal clock, which maybe it's broken now, but I just overall I think it's good for the network. You're gonna make a lot of money. And that's what this is about. Don't fool yourself. But I get truly worried for Taylor Frankie Paul down the line. I don't think this
that's
is
what I
gonna be
was saying. I'm like, I just don't want anything, like, bad to happen and, like, worse than
well,
it's
bad things
already
have
been.
already happened. Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah,
and that's the other thing. There's kids involved. There's nothing more like alarming than when you realize the cast of The Valley has kids. When you're like
ex
watching, you're like, okay, I'm getting into this, and then they're like, gotta go change a diaper, and you're like, no, they've
like, what? You
reproduced.
people are
Holy
raising
shit.
the next
Yeah. Oh my
generation?
God, Cruz is with the nanny right now. I gotta go. You're like, what? No.
And she's literally, "Yeah, let me finish this fucking crab boil before I go lay on the
Yeah, yeah.
table and get
I'm
heart
gonna get my
surgery."
titties removed. Woo! Yeah.
Well, guys, you will not believe, we come here today actually to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Poor
Uh,
Atlanta, man. I mean, we really always like will end up talking about 10 things before we get
but
to
don't
Atlanta.
worry about it, because that's how it is over here, because over I appreciate what you do so much because you literally go line by line, you have people's voices down, you have, like, the detail that you pay to these shows and also, like, to your reviews. We have just different styles because I care
Oh
just as
yeah,
much as you do, it's just
it's
that we
all
have
stuff.
different styles.
Yeah,
So you
but
do the
what I'm
line by line
realizing,
reviews.
and by the way, it's been so hard to break myself of that habit. Like once you start working a certain way, when you start this,
Yeah.
it really becomes something. And I've talked with Sandra, and like it's really hard. Like every time I try to break myself, I always think there's something so fascinating about just the throwaway lines. Like I grew up in theater and like studying like scripts, and so always the script was like the roadmap, and it gave you all the clues, everything. So for me, I'm still in this idiot mind frame of like, you've got to look at every line. Every line
Yeah.
builds to something. And then you realize, like I'm in this point now of like, every line in the Valley does not mean something. And so now I've gotten, at least with the Valley, where I've broken myself of like line by line recaps, thank God. But back in I still get trapped in that a lot.
But that's what people appreciate, like, about your podcast and your style of podcasting is that you notice these little human intricacies that make people unrelatable, relatable, or just entertaining in general. Meanwhile, I'm like, let's just talk about these next 2 episodes because my audience has done their homework. They are watching the shows along with us, and they already know my style is not to go line by line, but just to talk about like the general vibe of the show. So let's get into it. I mean, these last 2 episodes we were not able to cover on So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey, which I have been on almost, yeah, I think
Every
every
week.
week for like 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
Like can't even, well, not gonna make that joke. S But anyways, so we have been talking about it and we're gonna get back on it because the reason that we did it on Ryan's show instead of my show is because I want both of our audiences to commingle and actually give Atlanta the spotlight that it deserves on this season. And I also just wanted to talk to Ryan more often. Like I would always ask you to come on the
Yeah, I
podcast
think it's
and
good. It's
then
good for my soul to talk to you every week. I know, all joking aside, or there's something, it's good to invest in relationships, or like I just think it's actually something I look forward to, and it doesn't feel like work.
And I also find it easier when I have someone else to talk to about the show instead of it's just me for 30 minutes straight. Like I feel like I like to go, well, what do you think? So like let's just break down like what's going on with the cast in general. We're about to gear up for this trip to Scotland, but the ladies couldn't be in a more fake ass place that Shamia basically pointed out at the end of the newest episode. Um I think that right now my sympathy really lies with Kelly, and I think that that is a surprise for me because I knew what was going on in real time because, obviously the Shade Room, all these blogs, the Bravo blogs report on what's going on with her and her husband, but it's different to see it. In the past 2 episodes, we talk about how she's having to take her ex to court. She can't have her kids obviously on camera, which we talked about earlier in the season. She's now having to move out because her neighbor is a psycho, and then at the start of the season, we both were like, "How did Shamia and Kelly even get this close?" And now we're seeing how these people are genuinely have built a relationship off camera, so much so that Kelly is now moving into a home, a townhouse that Shamia owns. What are you feeling about, Kelly's whole situation, and is she growing on you, or do you feel like we
I
shouldn't?
I've never disliked Kelly. I feel like I think sometimes it's hard, and I know she wouldn't want this, but sometimes sometimes you're feeling like there's like this element of pity, and I know she doesn't want to be pitied, but like she's in a dark place financially. But like some people, like how she entered Real Housewives of Atlanta, where she bought her daughter it was like 15 gifts for her
15,
birthday or something,
15
and
purses.
it was like it was all about how rich she was, and so it's a constant reminder about you know, be careful about what you are, I don't know, showing off. And that's what kind of housewives are. So it's really interesting then to have to sit down with a financial advisor and realize how much she's spending on makeup, 2,500, hair, 3,000, shopping and clothes, 8,500 a month, all of these things. And then, Phaedra's having to take on her case pro bono. She's getting a free townhouse from Shamia. And a lot of people are stepping up for her, but you have to eat a lot. You have to eat a lot of crow to be able to say, yeah, I do need help. So it's an interesting storyline because Atlanta especially seems to be really all about wealth. You see all of them show off their cars, their wares, their rings, their all of this stuff. It's like, Shamia and Kelly are complaining about where Cynthia put them in Texas on that cast trip. And it's like, girl, you can't even, you got to move out of you got to stay with Shamia's townhouse. You shouldn't be complaining about anything. And so it's really undercut Kelly. She's going to have to be careful about when she decides to step up and who she steps up to.
Yeah, I totally agree that basically, what is that Bible quote? Pride goeth before the fall. It's
Yeah.
because she literally came on the show gunning for Portia, and we can see that she still is like low key, like a confessional warrior that you point out a lot on when we do the recaps. That she's a
Yeah.
confessional warrior, especially when it comes to Portia. And it's not necessarily pity that I feel. I just, just that human feeling.
Kendrick's making fun of her white T-shirt in the talking head. Hey, bro, that's all she can afford. Take it like have some pity, man. Kelly's panhandling on these shows. Her tagline should be like, "I've set up a GoFundMe." Like, come on,
Oh
man.
my God. I need to get you and Kendrick and Raven and Aaron. Oh my God. Yeah. I think all of us, we need to have like one like just crazy episode because it's going to be so fucking funny. Kendrick of the I Cannot podcast, who frequents here almost weekly at this point, is just he's so funny.
Love him.
And he notices like the craziest things. And if you've seen that viral meme of Wes, his hat, and it's like bigger than its head, it was Kendrick who photoshopped, not AI. He photoshopped his head bigger, like the hat bigger. But yeah, so I'm really seeing obviously Shamia and Kelly's friendship get closer, but at the same time she is feeling like she is on the outs with the group. She's constantly telling K Michelle basically, which I wanted to basically zoom in on here. K Michelle said, they went out to the club. Shamia's mom was there for some reason. Shamia's mom is she was like, I don't know, no mama that's like that. And then Shamia basically told her, no one wants me to be your friend. And K Michelle says basically, I was in tears by the time I went to the car. And that's what I get so confused when it comes to Shamia talking about how these friendships are fake and she's being the fall guy. But then at the same time, you're whispering to K Michelle, who has these insecurities about not only joining this group, but also like the it girls of Atlanta in general.
But all
You
that's based
are
on
just like,
but see, at the end of the day, that's based on Shamia's insecurity. So she is using like a Jedi mind trick of like, girl, like everybody doesn't want me to be friends with you. When in essence, Shamia is trying to ingratiate with K Michelle because she needs friends because Shamia
right.
is so looked down on within that group. So both of these ladies, they're coming from like insecure places, but K Michelle's being lied to. I don't think
Yeah.
Shami is getting nearly as much shit as she's telling K. Michelle she is. I just think she's trying to be. Shamia wants to be needed by somebody, and that's why her and Kelly work so well because Kelly needs her.
Right. And it's just so weird to see this because I just felt like Shamia was in a different place when we saw her as a friend of. And I'm wondering, is it the lack of candy that, is making her, do this? Was candy kind of the buffer that we needed before we got to, like, who Shamia really is. But we also get, like, these really heartwarming moments with Shamia where she is, trying to extend her family, open up
Yeah.
her family. She's being a good friend to Kelly. She is supposedly a good friend to K Michelle, but also feeding into her insecurities. So it's weird. It's just I don't know what to think of her. And it's weird because she went from a friend status to full-time status. And whereas I know that Marlo flopped as a friend, I just don't know what it is. It's like some people can go from friend to full-time and nail it, and then some others they flop,
Well,
but they flopped in, like, different ways. What do you think the difference between Marlo's flop from friend to full cast and Shamia's it feels like with the audience, if I'm checking the temperature of the audience, flop from friend to full cast. Like, what is it?
I think we mentioned, or I said this to you yesterday. Is like you're never going to be able to escape the shadow of Portia. You're never like you have that stink on you, and the fact that Portia will just not engage in other people's conversations about Shamia, like to me, that is like an even darker thing than somebody talking shit about you, somebody that refuses to talk about you. And Portia's star will always be on the rise, whether you believe that it should be or not. And I think it's really hard. Like once you have that stink on you, it's hard to because like I told you, like I have a real soft spot for Shamia. I really actually do
You do.
weirdly like Shamia when, sometimes it might not be warranted. And I also feel like I also have a soft spot for underdogs. And I feel like, man, like Portia's refusal puts such a stink on Shamia that she carries it with her in every scene. And I think even if the audience doesn't recognize her or not, it permeates the audience where we're always like, oh God, like she's got the scarlet letter on her, like she's never going to be like, Portia's never going to talk to her again. That's one of the main cast members. And without Portia, you don't have Phaedra. Without, it's like, it's like this, and it makes me
Yeah.
sad because Portia just refuses. But I think Shamia is more successful as a full time than Marlo was as a full time.
Oh,
I
yeah, she
think
definitely is more successful. And I think it might be because Nene wasn't on, so we don't have, like, how Portia is on for Shamia, Nene needed to be on for Marlo, and, like, maybe
yeah.
it would have been more successful. Okay, next, Phaedra. We talked about Phaedra briefly, but I do want to bring up that not only is Phaedra helping Kelly, like, because she's like, "I'm coming," as a single mom, I've been through this. I'm a lawyer. And they even reference the famous "win a case" that Cynthia said, which is just like one of the most iconic lines out there. And like the only thing that I think about when I think of Phaedra's many, because we talk about how gifted this woman is,
I
like
mean, it's insane,
healer,
insane.
mother, like jack of all trades.
I would love
Even
to, this would be boring as hell and I don't want it on Atlanta, but I would love to just know how she spends 24 hours. Like I would just love to be a fly on the wall, seeing like, is she like constantly reading? Is she studying? Is she like, because I can only do, if I can put out a podcast a day, that's all I can do. Like this
right,
girl's like learning how to play the flute. She's like learning Reiki. She's learning spiritual healing
she's
on
a
top of being a
mom.
lawyer, on top of being a mortician, on top of being like, you're like, holy shit. How does one be this productive?
And I think that that would be a great because you know how everyone is getting into vertical series? Bravo is also getting into the vertical
That's
series
a
right now.
great
That would be a great
idea.
vertical series of just, like, spend a day with a housewife, whether it's
I
Phaedra
love
or whoever it
Yeah.
is. So they should do that for sure because so many people would tune in because she is truly, like, just so interesting and, check out the vertical series that Bravo is putting out. They want you
Well,
to
like,
check
you know
that
what?
out.
Phaedra is so esteemed that you don't she doesn't even have to have storylines about her love life.
And
That's like
you
hands
just let
off.
her.
It's hands off, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I wanna know more about you, but even though I don't, I'll allow it. because
Oh,
you
yeah.
are so involved and so funny and so likable, and that is your brand that
And
it's like
you seem like you're open to everybody, including
right,
Kelly, and you throw in so much
including
humor,
Kelly,
you know,
including
like,
Kelly.
including the
That
panhandler,
gave
and you like
Jesse Solomon without me.
yeah. So, no, I just think there's something to be said for somebody that still adds value. Like, Kyle on
Yeah,
Beverly Hills, to me, that song has been sung, and if you're not going to, at least, half the time you don't even sense that Kyle wants to be there. Where like
yeah.
Phaedra, I feel like she is actively listening. She's throwing in. She's,
And even if you
pleasant.
hear, K. Michelle's with some of her interviews, she's like, "Actually, I do like Phaedra." Like, and she didn't expect to like Phaedra. And we also see her, go to Phaedra's house and like they go fishing and all that, and it's so funny. But what I did notice is that obviously Angela, she is memorializing her mom. We got to meet her brother in the last episode, and they just talk about how
Yeah.
sudden and how deep the loss was, which I don't even want to get into because I can't imagine how hard that is, and it was just I was already a Fangy, but now it's also like, "She's my client, get behind me. You cannot say anything about
Well,
Angela."
I am gonna say one thing about Angela because I
Oh
am a
god.
I love Angela,
Yeah,
but
you're a
I
Fangy.
will say I do not give a rip that Amari has not told the kids about her marriage.
Yeah, I didn't
I do
understand that
not
at
care
all.
at all. I'm almost like, well, that sounds like something you guys should work out. I do not find the dramatic pull to that storyline, even though I feel a complete pull towards Angela Oakley. I think I mean, you put her in a scene, she will decimate. Well, I mean, just without lifting a finger. She's so verbally amazing. But that Amari stuff is, it's missing me complete.
I think that they kinda, like, sprinkled that in there somehow because then we just randomly she has a confessional, and she look like, Amari has a confessional, and she's in the famous Ariana dress that she wore on the first episode of Love Island this season, and I'm just like, "Oh my
Oh,
god,
wow.
okay, this girl is a fashion girl." Like, I noticed that immediately because I was so starstruck by that dress that Ariana wore. But what I was saying is that, she had, the Bailey Q and they had a basketball game and it was so funny and so endearing, after they had the whole skating rink party. And we're doing these events to get these ladies closer, but there is still a disconnect, which is actually building up to a great trip to Scotland. But what I did notice is that Apollo's son that he found out that he had when he was in jail was actually at the basketball game. And what I'm seeing online is that, like, Phaedra has been present in Apollo's son's life, and it's like, this woman is just an angel. Like, first of all, I didn't even know Apollo had a son before, and apparently he didn't know. Did you know about this?
No, I didn't. No, I did not.
He was on the episode, and when they took the
No, I
screenshot
knew this, but for some reason I didn't like put two and two together. I wasn't like, oh wow, because there were so many
yeah.
people in that basketball scene, and like
And
everybody
he
brought
looks
their group.
exactly like Apollo, so when I saw that, people were like, "Oh, this is Apollo's son that he didn't know that he had," and he recently did, like, an interview saying that Phaedra has been in his life, and I'm like, "That's so crazy." But yeah, so that's Phaedra, love Phaedra. She's gonna be someone who is really, important to these next few episodes in Scotland when they play Traitors, not just because she's gonna be, you know, the game master along with Portia because they've been on Traitors, both of them, but also because
Portia wasn't good at
she
the
was
actual game. Phaedra was excellent at the game.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be funny to see how they handle it, and also, I know that Atlanta because they're so whip smart and they're gonna crack on how Portia basically got sent home, what, with, like, the 3rd or 4th episode, just
Yeah.
like they cracked on Portia, we find out in this well, not find out, but they, like,
Did you
acknowledged the
watch that
whole
Z-Way interview with Portia?
I didn't yet, I'm saving it.
It's on my list to
It's so
watch
funny.
tonight, and I can't
Samaj,
wait
shout
to
out to
watch it.
Samaj,
Yeah,
so
Samaj was texting
so
me. Samaj was the one that was
funny.
texting me about it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I saw the preview, so I immediately knew that I was gonna watch it. It's gonna be hilarious. But we also oh my god. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was talking about how, Phaedra and Apollo, like, we don't see Apollo on the show, but we got to see his son. So that was crazy. Angela, she's really we talked about how we don't really care about this whole Amari storyline, but I do think that Angela is probably just using, oh, you need to tell the kids thing just for, like, herself. You
Yeah.
know, like, she's still hurt, which I understand. Any parent would be hurt that your kid got married and didn't tell you. So that's what I got from that whole scene. I don't necessarily care about it, but at the same time, she can just do what she wants. And these are filler episodes, so as long as it's not taking up
Yeah.
too much time. Portia, we find out that Simon rescinded his sponsorship, which is hilarious because boy, you got
Yes,
kicked.
boo-hoo.
You just literally got kicked out of America and you've decided to rescind your sponsorship so she can't be a citizen. But she's like, I can travel there as much as I want.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, I don't need to be a citizen, like, I'm good, like, I can
yeah,
visit.
like as long as I can visit Nigeria, because apparently she's already fucked every Nigerian in Atlanta. So she has to go to the homeland to
I'm
finish it
shocked
out.
that what's his name keeps popping up. Like, I thought it was gonna be
Mike?
Sway all day. Yeah, I couldn't believe Mike.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sway all day at this point. I didn't realize he was still involved in kind of being, so I'm like, where does this end? Because right, doesn't she end at the end of the day choose Sway?
She has yeah, the choice is clear. Like, they from Thanksgiving and on, they've had matching pajamas. I don't know where the next season of, Love the Love Show on Bravo goes because she was supposed to be on that. But, yeah, she asked Mike last episode, "Will you continue dating me?" And she got really upset, and I was telling you that on your podcast, how I feel like Portia would be with Dennis in a heartbeat if Dennis would just act right, and he just won't. He
Oh,
won't.
Osama bin Dennis? Like, what's
It's
he
literally
wearing, man? Take some pride. Like, I
insane.
mean, like, I was like, take some pride. I'm in like basketball shorts and like a dirty sweatshirt with spit up. Take some pride in yourself, man.
No, we're not on reality, okay? It was just and also I didn't expect Portia to get so I don't know if that was
Emotional?
real, like,
Well, you know
if
what? I
the
didn't think,
crying part was real.
but see, you made me think it was real because you were the one that was like, no, Dennis would have been the one. So
Yeah,
to
I still
me,
think
that
that.
was real. Like, how dare you bring this ring in my face? How dare you? To me, I normally would have thought that was fake, but you made me reconsider and go, well, I mean, there's some real emotions there.
She even says it though. She's basically like, "You are the trauma, not the drama." Like, she's like and they go back to, "I gave you a child. I wanted to marry you." Like, we tried this multiple times, and he had his own situation, that we don't see play out on screen because he's not a part of the cast, but he's had girlfriends too. So it was just very interesting to see that and be validated that if
Yeah.
she could be with Dennis, she absolutely would be. And I've been telling people this like from the freaking jump. I mean, as far as the ladies, like as a group, I think what really like stuck with me is Shamia calling out like the hug. K Michelle is like, I don't want to and I love K. Michelle's, and I love her still. K. Michelle's like, I don't want to bring up this conflict here because I would rather us settle that like as friends, and that's just the kind of person that I am. Whereas Shamia is like, well, no, well, if you have a problem, we should address it right here instead of just hugging and like going on this trip. What did
Yeah.
you think of K. Michelle's way of handling things as we navigate the season? Because obviously she has been whipping her head like back and forth. Like,
K
what is
Michelle
it
is
with
up
these
and down.
ladies?
Like I sometimes find it hard to emotionally graph where she goes and what she feels because
Yeah.
she's also like hysterically funny, whip smart, but at the same time, she seems to get she seems to be upset or saddened by so many things with this cast and then comes back and then gets upset again about something new. And I mean, listen, she has such a strong presence for a first season cast member. I don't want her going anywhere, obviously, but I don't know which is it. I don't know if you are this like completely strong woman or if you are one of the more insecure cast members. Like both of these things tend to like be her at times. Like I'm like half the time I don't think you really would give an actual shit, but you seem to take the greatest offense to these things. And I'm like, wait, you let Drew Sidora get under your skin at all? You let Shamia get under your skin at all? Like, give me a break. You've already gotten the lay of the land and realized that I mean, you're kind of considered almost above them in some ways, and you're only on your first season. And so I don't know if she's just playing the Housewives game and using it to her benefit, or if these are all very real things to her.
For me, I think it's just still her own insecurity of being in a group of women since she's been scarred by being on Love and Hip Hop, but also again in real life when she was friends with that group of women who accused her of lying about the abuse that she received from that man. And now she's like, okay, everyone is already saying because at this point, like they're
But we never
filming.
even fully cleared up that storyline. Like we're still like okay, so what who exactly was a part of this? You said Drew, Phaedra, and Portia. What exactly happened? Like, and by the way, that this is how good of a show it is that like we
Yeah.
don't really get answers. They're not provided like Summer House, but you
And
continue to enjoy it.
we might not even get into it really at the reunion, but obviously it's gonna come up. But it's like speak plainly. Like I feel like we're speaking in code sometimes here.
Yes.
You know, like,
And then, by the way, do we have to shut down all the blogs? Like, come on. Like, some of us have not read all the 30 Atlanta blogs that everybody keeps being scared of on this cast. Like, somebody needs to do a fucking vertical series just about the blogs because I'm like,
yeah,
what
like
the?
a
I
blog
didn't.
report.
Sorry, I didn't read Reality Tea today. Like, oh, how upset are you getting about these blogs?
And what is the truth? Like if some of it is a lie, or if it's all a lie, or if it's the truth, why can't you just like be and why can't you just confront it? Especially when we know that you're not like somewhat like a I don't know, just in the air, like a Kelsey where you're outpowered by the rest of the cast. Like Rhode Island cast
Yeah.
is like just so running laps around you, or an Ashley or something. You are K fucking Michelle, both
Exactly.
in the scene
Yes.
and in confessionals.
Well,
You are so able to take on all these women and just walk about your day.
but
So
K.
I think
Michelle has
her.
a career that
Go
is
ahead.
not tied to reality TV, which is
Hmm.
another strength that a lot of these women don't have.
Yeah,
That's the other thing about K. That's why it's so hard for me to really consider her being a deeply insecure person in this group when I'm like, your dance card is full. Like it's like this is probably great money and it's good visibility to maybe a different audience. And like I did not know K. Michelle before this. So that's great, but like you also have a talent. You actually have a gift. You can
yeah.
sing, you can songwrite, you can all of the. You're not using AI songwriting like Drew Sidora. Like,
Juicidor,
it's like what? Like, give me
Drew
a
to
break.
be Sidor.
Yeah, you did to be.
I fucking love Tubi, by the way. Seen all her movies.
Which, by
So,
the way, did you see that like two of those Love Island USA cast members have Tubi movies?
oh, Bryce and Trinity, and that's why they're in game, and that's why he's literally the Jay Gatsby looking out into the lake, and she is his green light. Yeah, they belong together, and I am getting everyone's phone in the vicinity to vote for them. They are my winners. That's just a Love Island thing. But yeah, I love that when they put that out there. I'm like, another reason they should be together. And it was just the most unpopular thing, but I'm just so glad that I can freely say that
Because
now.
they're obviously going to do movie night on Love Island USA, and I know they're going to like annihilate the men, deservedly so. But I do hope that there are some nice clips, like Bryce being very sad that Trinity's not there. I hope there's like those moments as well. Like I think that would for
Yeah,
them
the
in
more
particular.
endearing ones,
Yeah,
it's especially for them because the rest, that's the only couple that I want to stay together. Zach and Kata need to go. Like they
like
don't need
KJ, not KJ,
KJ and Anaya.
yeah, KJ.
KC
Wait,
and Anaya.
KC, God, I was like, what? Yeah, KC, like
KC.
obviously you're gonna have that on movie night where he's like, I'm more attracted to TT.
It's fine that he's a more attractive, but my problem is that he said that me and Anaya have nothing in common. And it's just like, you just told her that she was the blueprint to Black women. And then also you read her a full letter of all the things that you have in common, only for you to say that you have nothing in common with her. And some people are like, well, he doesn't. And we did want him to explore when he went to Casa More, but you can explore, but you don't have to shit on the person that you're with to explore.
Yeah.
So that's just another thing. But oh, like lastly, Drew Tubi Sadora. I think she is having a phenomenal season. She is having a good time in like real life too, being on like she's releasing music, she's being on all these movies, and now her and Portia, which I never thought that I'd see the day, especially after last season, that they are kind of not only not not only like co-workers, but she's so into her company that she wants to name a Drew line after her, and we saw that that came into fruition. So I'm like, wow, like I really
And she
it
finally
took
learned
me
how to eat chicken wings.
Yeah, important. It took me a few years, but, like, I'm finally warmed up to Drew as a housewife
Yeah.
instead of just an actress. It's just in my head, she's just always been, like, Drew Sidora from the game and Drew Sidora from That's So Raven and Drew Sidora from the TLC movie.
And
But
I love that Ralph is not in this physically.
right, I
I
was
think that's a
so
big I think that's a
such a good
big
point.
key, you know? Like, it's like, I love not seeing him because if we were to see him, we would focus on him, and, the whole
Exactly.
thing is to go beyond this relationship and to show that she is a person rebuilding and,
Yep.
taking the world by the balls, and if you had his, like, thirsty ass out there, it would become a whole different Drew.
And, like, her dating life too. Like, we're talking about her dating life. We're also talking about a potential spinoff that we would watch from that whole
Oh, yeah,
episode
with
that
her
they
the
had.
40 people that work for her that she can't
Yeah.
afford, yeah.
Drew Sidora rules, like, it was amazing. So, Drew, like, you're good with me. I can't wait for the Scotland trip. I really know that the focus is gonna be on Shamia and Portia, and this is where they're gonna, like, come to blows, well, possibly blows. I hate to see that a friendship that has happened since they were literally little has blown up. But again, like, bring it at me because I'm just enjoying this season. What are you most looking forward to with this trip? And also, like, as we are about to close out this season.
I think, I mean, with these kind of trips, especially to see it's like the old Scooby Doo cartoons with like Scooby Doo meets Batman and Robin. It's like you're seeing the Atlanta cast go over to the Trader's Castle. Like there is
Yes.
something innately hysterical about that, and so you're
Yeah.
going to have the fish out of water stuff that you would see normally in these environments. They're going to be extra funny because they react, like just them reacting to new things. That's what makes it an entertaining cast is that they can do drama, but like just the inane bullshit you get like amused by. Like even that little basketball game at the end, I was kind of like
Right.
enjoying how like, funny it was and how
The
like with
names, like Minions,
yeah,
and then
Minions
Angela
versus
continuously talking about her shoe size. And then Cynthia did an interview, shout out to Gavin with Gibson, that's like, yeah, it's kind of offensive that they keep talking about Angela's shoe size, and I'm like, "Cynthia, please." She's like, "I also wear a size 11 shoe." And it's just so like, these women are so funny, and not to quote Sincere because I obviously hate Sincere, we call him Insincere, but it's the epitome
yeah,
of
I
Real
was about to say
Housewives.
epitome. Yeah. You know what the epitome of this means truly? And what was the other thing? He was like, oh, what did he say? It was like being in what was the word for being? He said other something that was like completely
He I hate him and his analysis and the way that he just thinks that he is so emotionally intellect, but it's good TV to me, and I think that's also why I'm enjoying Love Island. I don't know. I don't know. I just hope that you find some way maybe to come around. Maybe when they come from Casa Amor back to the villa, you'll be more invested
I'll know it
to
when I
see
see it, and I did have that moment when that episode, and it wasn't just because of this scene, it was that whole episode, but it was a couple weeks ago with the Melanie
Mhm.
"Gimme 10, Gimme 10." Like
Yes.
when ChatGPT came in and everybody was, like, fawning all over him, and
Oh,
I thought that
yes.
was hysterical, and then that led
Corbin.
to, like, the Melanie Bea scene, and I was like, "Oh, this is taking off." And then
Yeah.
the Sunday episode for me didn't deliver on the promise of that ending, and I was actually impressed by Melanie for not freaking out on Sunday's episode, but for some
Right.
reason, that week just took a nosedive for me where I was just like,
'Cause
"Oh,
we're used to we were expecting and people wanted to put her in that category of the volatility of Huda, and that's not what she
Well, no,
is.
and I don't mean that I needed to see that volatility. It almost impressed me that she did not react like I predicted she would react. But then what happened was that the rest of the cast members really weren't grabbing my interest in terms of like actually caring about them as people, which is obviously so tough to do when you're
Because
getting to
Bea
watch
also
only an
got
hour of a
eliminated,
day.
so we don't know how it would've, like, ended up with
Oh,
them,
I
like,
mean,
I
watching
feel
Bea
like
on After Sun, or even watching like After Sun, watching all of these contestants like Sean, Bea, Gabriel, like I was like, God, I mean, I love these people when they're just talking, like when they're just, but for some reason, that's not translating on the normal episodes for me.
yeah, I would say give it time, but we don't have time, like,
Oh, and
we're
and
at Casa
they
Amor.
did remove what's her nuts, I heard
Miss Nigga,
from
yeah. I'm so glad that she's like another one down. Like they tried to like cut her out. They tried to
Wait,
cut
no,
her out so much.
I told my friend the other day, I was like, "What if this actually teaches kids to not be racist?" You know, like, "Oh, you mean it could
Oh,
fuck
like
me
a
up?
love
You mean I can't be on Love Island USA?
Yep.
Maybe I won't be racist then." Like, what if this is the thing that gets people to
Whatever.
stop saying the N-word, you know?
Whatever it takes. And I just hope that because she got pulled out that it doesn't make Zach, want to fake his feelings with Kata. I want Kata to continue acting a damn fool because Kata
Kata, what's going on, you
is
guys?
the
Hey,
baddest
all right.
bitch.
Ugh.
Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for coming to try Atlanta with me. I got my weekly DJ residency on Ryan's podcast. I'm
Yeah,
so
we did Rhode Island on Thursday Wednesday's episode.
hell
So
yeah.
go check that out. We talked about like 5 different other things before we even got to Rhode Island. So it's just like two friends shooting the shit, which I think is always fun. So go check it
Hell
out
yeah.
if you want to, but no pressure.
And also tell them about the last few guests that you had. We talked about Mia.
Oh, I had Paul Royston, who's a casting producer for like Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which was great. My friend Sophie Ross from Snarkbait, we do the pop culture roundup. Tomorrow I'm having Aisha from Below Deck, Ahmed, and
Oh, she's so nice.
Lexi and Andrea from In the City.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to listen to those. So make sure you go rate the podcast 5 stars. Make sure you hype this video if you're watching on YouTube. And make sure you are listening to me on Ryan's podcast and listening to Ryan on my podcast. Thank you guys for coming. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.